You guys are always asking me, Note Brigade, what can I do? And the reality is that you can do nothing. We have to do something. And so I'm going to talk to you today about some really important groundbreaking research on the types of protests that are actually effective. So today we are focusing on nonviolent versus violent movements and the tactics that seem to work and why. It can be really daunting to think about the sheer numbers of people that would be necessary to really change society, but the reality is you only need 3.5%. 3.5%. So Erica Chenoweth worked with a researcher named Stefan and performed an extensive literature review. We call these a meta-analysis of over 323 cases of nonviolent and violent resistance movements, focusing on regime change specifically. So they looked at the time period from 1900 to 2006. They considered a movement a success if they were able to achieve their goals of regime change within 1 year of peak engagement, and if it was a success as a direct result of the movement's efforts. These findings were wild. Overall, nonviolent campaigns were twice as likely to succeed as violent campaigns. They led to political change 53% of the time compared to 26% for the violent protests. This is huge. And remember, this isn't like getting a new law signed. This is total regime change. Okay, so why? Why are nonviolent campaigns so much more likely to succeed than violent ones? What she argues is that it's all about numbers. So violent movements can only draw from like a really small percentage of the population, both who are willing to engage in that and who are able to. But with a nonviolent movement, it can draw people from broad swaths of the population from all walks of life, and it can get that widespread support. It can get the numbers. It also allows a movement to maintain the moral high ground, especially in the face of massive state repression and violence. And if you're trying to get mass numbers into the streets, you have to tell people about it, right? And so if you're engaged in a violent campaign, you're more likely to be targeted as opposed to nonviolent campaigns, which can be less secretive, even though they are still potentially quite dangerous for people. Something else she argues is that by engaging broad support across the population, nonviolent campaigns are also more likely to win support among police and military. The police and the military are more likely to be like, I think I might know people in there, and to also sympathize with like, look how many people don't want this. Or when they're looking at the sheer numbers of people involved, they may just come to the conclusion the ship has sailed and they don't want to go down with the ship. Okay, this next part is important. The single most important strategy used by nonviolent protesters in a movement is a general strike. This is because when you have enough numbers who are striking, like not participating in society, it brings society to a grinding halt. But it is not without danger, and people are going to get targeted. Social movements have a variety of tactics available to them, and they have to pick and choose between what they think will be most effective. So hard numbers here. What is 3.5% of the United States? It would be about 11 million people. I think in a huge country like the United States, location would be really important for where people were striking and from what industries in particular, but urban places and rural places have advantages. I just made a different video about how to get people into the streets according to social movement scholars. I'm going to keep making these kinds of videos, so follow, share, all of those things if you think this is useful, and drop any comments or ideas you have in the comment section. Change in societies is absolutely possible, and it happens all the time, but it requires a we, not an I. It's possible. Don't give up.